Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Coaching Call podcast. On this podcast, we'll cover various types of coaching by trainers in sports, martial arts, fitness, and business. We'll discuss each coach's methods to getting the most out of their respective athletes or clients and how they attempt to change the platform in which they coach. Join us on a fun adventure as we discuss unique coaching styles. Coaching is a universal part of how we get others to get something done. Join your host, Raphael, and his guests on this unique journey in coaching.
Hi, I'm Sifu Raphael, and this is the Coaching Call podcast. If you enjoy this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. This episode was made possible by listeners like you. Good morning, Limor, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Exceptional and getting better every day. So I'm happy that you're here. I was a little afraid that you were not going to make it. So I'm happy you're here. We have so much to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely.
In an amazing industry that you are part of, that you're helping people be recognized. I love that. So, can you hear me?
I can. I sure can.
Oh,
definitely.
great.
Can you hear me?
I can. So, when we think about what you're doing, right? Before we get there, let's talk about you, because this show wants to be about you, right? So one of the things at one point or another, you're going to go in the private chat if you want me to share your links so that I can share them. If you want,
Sure, absolutely. Right? I will share.
So this is why I always ask people to come on early so we can do this ahead of time, but that's okay. You're here now.
Yeah, I am sorry. I had a client call.
Okay.
Unexpected client call.
Oh, there you go.
That I had to answer. So I just put in the private chat my LinkedIn URL. I think that's probably the best way for people to find me.
Beautiful. So let's talk about you, right? When you were a little girl, when you were a little girl, you probably didn't think you would be where you are today. You probably had a different picture in your mind, right? Because we all did as little kids. We did not know where we truly would land unless it was for the people that we connected with along the way, the people that influenced us, right? Those are the people that made you who you are today, right?
Probably a combination, right? People and just the journey. You know, we all go through a journey.
Right.
And we learn, adapt, change along the way.
Right. So tell me about it. This is why I'm asking the questions, but I need you to let me know, what was it growing like? Where did you grow up? Who influenced you the most?
Yeah, so I grew up in Israel in an average middle-class family. I was raised in knowing that you have to kind of go to school, get good grades, like Rich Dad, right? Like Robert Kiyosaki talks about. When I read his book, I really resonated with what he wrote. Like, okay, go to school, get a good grades, go to college, get good grades, get a job, and work until retirement. So that's pretty much what I was, that's the environment that I was raised. Nothing bad, but that's kind of the mentality of my parents' generation, right? The generation before me, that usually people went to work out of necessity, out of, I would say, making ends meet. It was not so much about fulfillment, passion. Those words were not in the lexicon back then. Not that people back then didn't like what they did, but it was about making a living. And that influenced me, consciously or unconsciously. It influenced me because I was a good girl and I did what I was told, and I did good in school and I got good grades. And when I had to choose, so I didn't know what I wanted to do, to be honest with you. And there was a time I thought I wanted to be an archaeologist. It looked romantic. I don't know. It looks interesting, but eventually I chose a very pragmatic path.
Mm,
And I said, okay, I'm good at math. I'm good at science related fields. Okay, computer science makes sense. It's a good living. It's a good profession to have. And that's what I did.
mm,
So it really influenced me. I didn't think about, oh, what do I love doing? What am I good at? I was just, okay, what kind of profession can I pick that will make sense, that I can make money? That was the mentality.
right. More practical, like you said,
Yes,
right?
very practical. Very, very practical.
But you got involved in it, and you stayed in it, right? You could have gone out of it.
Yes, I stayed there for over 20 years and I grew and I did different roles. And just to make sure I kind of I'm clear, it's not that I hated every minute. It's not that I chose something I hated.
Mm,
I worked with incredible people,
right.
and overall, I mean, I feel very fortunate, right, that I was able to do something that fills my bank account, but also, it's not just for the money. I mean, I enjoyed some things, some I didn't, but I enjoyed some of the things I was doing. I enjoyed the people I worked at.
Mm,
I got better and better. I moved up the corporate ladder, so I did pretty well. From someone from the outside, I'm a success story. For
mm,
me, I didn't feel that way. I felt along the way, especially I would say since I became around 40-year-old,
right.
I started to question, is this what I want? I started questioning that. But overall, I mean, I consider myself fortunate.
Mm. A lot of people don't. They pick a career because it was, and you did it because it was practical. But some people follow what they're being guided in, right?
Hmm.
So maybe their parents said you have to go and be a professor, you have to be a doctor, a surgeon, a lawyer, whatever it is. But you picked something that was practical and you stayed in it. And I like the fact that you said certain things I didn't like,
Yeah.
but certain things I did.
Yeah.
So would you say that you excelled because the things you liked were more than the ones that you didn't?
I mean, I was motivated to. Uh,
To achieve
I,
more.
I was motivated to become more, to achieve
Mhm,
more, to grow, to become better. So definitely, I'm not a person that. I remember, when I started working out of college, I went to a company and I worked there for 3.5 years, and it was kind of a starting point for many people because they paid for the last year tuition. So many
mm,
students came there, and many stayed there for years.
mm,
And I remember that I was not like that. I was like, no. I mean, I after 1 year, I said I want something else. I want to work on cutting edge technology. I want to do something more interesting. So I was always passionate about growing, about learning, about
mm,
staying up to date with technology, becoming
right.
better and better. I couldn't just be there, okay, it's a paying job, it's stable, so I'll just stay. It was against my nature.
Mm, yeah. So always trying to evolve, trying to see the new
Yeah.
thing. But you went into a field that's always evolving, right?
Yes, it is.
Mm. Would you tell us how that impacted your life? I'm going to put you straight on. Excuse me.
Bless you.
I'm going to put you straight on so that we get you, and I want to know the story of how you evolved through the evolution of, I guess, computers, right? Go for it.
I mean, I always have to keep myself up to date, right?
Mm,
To learn new things. And on one hand, it's very interesting and rewarding. On the other hand, it can be exhausting
mm,
because you cannot just say, okay, I learned so much and now I just enjoy the fruits of my labor. Like in other professions, for example, it's not that you stop learning, But in other professions, if you're an accountant, an attorney, yes, you keep learning, but at the end of the day, you just pretty much, kind of harness all the knowledge that you gained throughout the years and do the same thing over and over again. And with technology, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yes, you gain experience, but if you don't continue learning and seeing what's out there and what's something new, because all the time there's something else, you become outdated very soon. And that can be exhausting. At some point, I felt a little bit exhaustion out of that. And that was one of the things I think that led me out of being an engineering leader, because I felt like, okay, if I'm here, I always have to keep myself up to date. And I'm tired of this.
Yes. I can only imagine. I can only imagine because you have to keep up with technology the way it's evolving so fast, so rapidly, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then you're old news, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I felt a little bit misplaced, because
Mm,
I saw the people that were around me and they were excited, right? Oh, here's a new book, or
mm.
go and check out this article. And I didn't find that interesting. I guess I said,
Right.
okay, I'm not that excited. So is either something is wrong with me
Mm,
or I am at the wrong place.
right.
I chose the latter, and I just chose to become a coach. But yes, you have to all the time keep up to speed, and some people really enjoy it.
Mm. So it's becoming a coach. That's a great question for a lot of people because a lot of people are like, how do I become a coach? What are the first steps that I have to take? And it doesn't matter what kind of coach. Obviously, if they're going to be a sports coach, they should know the sport, right? You should know what capabilities you have, what strengths you have. But in order to start to share them with other people, share your gifts or your knowledge, if you can take us through what your first steps were, you
Mhm.
may be able to actually help somebody who may be listening today who says, I am like Limor, who said, I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore, but I have these skills. I know how to help other people become better, get out of their own way.
Yeah, so I think first of all, you need to be a person that want to help other people, right? I mean,
Mm,
I think that's a key point that you mentioned, right?
yep,
Helping other people. That's what I do. And if that's not interesting to you, that's okay. Then you shouldn't become a coach. For me, I mean, I don't know if the jury that I went through is necessarily the only way. But what
right,
happened to me that obviously, as I become a manager, part of a manager job is coaching, because the manager is supporting the people in their team, helping them grow. And the best way to support people is to coach them, not to tell them what to do,
right.
but actually help them get better, help them realize what they need to do. And so I would say that was the beginning of it for me, right? I mean, as I started leading people,
Mm,
kind of knowing or not knowing, I had to do it.
mhm,
The second thing that happened to me, that I started mentoring, and I did that outside of my day job. I did it as a volunteer. I started
mm,
mentoring other managers, and I really enjoyed it. So I would say, another thing that you can do is experiment with helping others with your knowledge,
mhm,
and see how it feels like. Do you bring value? So, two questions: ask yourself, do you bring value? And you can ask the other person, right, if you bring value to them, and what value do you bring. And the second thing is, do you enjoy it? Do you like it?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, without a doubt, because it's not easy because now you may be teaching somebody, but they're coming in with their own values, their own personality, their own ideas, their own concepts.
Yeah.
And are they willing to accept the help that you're giving them, right?
Yeah.
Mm. So you started with helping other managers,
Mm-hmm.
and you realize you liked it.
Yes. Yes. And I also got very good feedback. So it was a combination of two. Actually, one of the managers that I started mentoring, so I had several long term relationships, impactful relationships. Some were some of kind of one offs, two offs,
Right.
not that meaningful, but there are several meaningful relationships that they built, even outside of the mentoring relationships. And I remember one person that I mentored told me, thanks to you, I know what I need to do.
Mm.
You made me realize that manager is actually not the right position for me. So eventually, this person decided to go back to being an individual contributor. Obviously, I didn't tell him that. He realized that himself through the work we were doing together, and we worked together for about a year. And just the feedback he gave me, first of all, filled me with joy and a sense of mission in life. Like I'm actually able to help someone realize what they want to do
Yeah.
and what is the right thing for them
Yeah.
in their careers.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't sometimes they get put into a position of manager.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because somebody left and they're like, oh, we need to fill the space. Grab this one, put them in there. And then that person's like, oh my gosh, they're overwhelmed. They didn't realize the role
Mm-hmm.
or the logistics of what the role requires, right? They may say, hey, I like the money, and they're thinking the money, but then the responsibilities are overwhelming to them. And then it's over their head. So they didn't realize it. So a lot of people are put into a position that they were not ready for, right?
Yeah, I think it, and I see that a lot in hyper growth companies.
Mm-hmm.
When companies grow really quickly, obviously they need to have managers in place. And the natural thing to do is to take people that know the best what a company does and grow them into the leadership positions. And a lot of times it's not out of the person own choice, but out of necessity, and the company is pushing those people to become managers. And I've seen that, and I've seen that some people like it, but some don't. And eventually go, and I've seen several of those, like eventually go back to say, I don't want that, I don't like that. I just want to write code. Leave me alone with all this managerial stuff.
Right.
And that's okay.
Right. Because if you're just a coder, right, you don't want to look out for anybody else. You don't want to have to handhold, if you will, because as a manager, sometimes you have to,
Yeah.
you have to know, oh, what's going on in your life? How come you're not doing this? What's the so there's so many different aspects to helping someone. But meanwhile, if you're there because you just want to do your job, right? Because when you're a manager, your job is everybody else's job, right?
Yeah, that's true. And I want to say something else. I mean, I don't see necessarily a manager as the only way up. And I
Correct.
think it's not the case for many years. It used to be. It used to be that okay, you can only go up by becoming a manager, but it's not that the case. And I managed more than one, several individual contributors who were very experienced, and they earned actually more than I did. So their salary was actually higher than mine, which was okay. It
Right.
was absolutely okay. So I don't want people to think like, okay, you have to become a manager to earn more money or to get up the ladder, because it's not the only way.
Right. There's different categories, expertise, right? Because some people are so amazing at what they do that the company does not want to lose them, because if they do, it would take 3 to 4 people to replace them, right? So I can see how that can happen, especially in the tech world,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So you decided to go on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Was it an easy decision, a tough decision?
It's one of the hardest decisions I made.
Mm,
Uh, my DNA is being an employee. That's my
mm,
DNA. I mean, I was, as I said, I was raised in a family of two parents working their
right.
entire career for one employer. They
Mm,
thought that switching jobs is a scary or courageous or stupid thing to do.
Right.
Every time that I was switching a job, they was like, oh my God, why did you leave the other job? It was good. So for them, going to being an independent consultant or working for yourself is like a crazy thing to do. So definitely I stepped out of my comfort zone big time.
Right.
And it's scary and it's different and I love it. So, but you know, I did it in a phase in my life that I felt that freedom was the top priority for me. And that's what I need right now in my life. I think it depends on the phase you are at and what are your needs that time. What is the most important things for you? And for me right now, freedom is one of the most important things. And working for someone else, even if it will be the most fulfilling job, but I need to be somewhere at a certain time, and do work for people that not necessarily I choose to work with, tell them why I need a day off or why I don't, I don't want that in my life right now.
Yeah. Because you're at their mercy, if you will, right? Because
I
they
mean,
say,
I have to
hey.
call it mercy, I don't see it as a mercy. It's just, it's an environment that eventually they buy my time.
Right.
So they, not all my time, but they buy around 40 hours a week, sometimes more. And they get control over my time. And if I need time off, I need to ask for permission. That's how it works. That's the employer-employee relationship.
Correct.
And some of them earned millions of dollars. It's not like that's how. But even if you are a CEO, eventually you have to report to the board. So you work for someone and you have to report to someone of certain things, and they pay for your time and your expertise, obviously. So I'm at a stage in my life that I don't want that. And maybe it will change in the future. I don't know. But right now, that's what I need.
I hear you. But when we think, and I like the fact that you said that they're paying for your time. Because even when you're an independent contractor or you work for yourself, listen, I'm an entrepreneur. If I decided never to work again, then what am I going to do? But then the other thing is, if I decide that I'm going to, as an entrepreneur, I have a physical location. How do I keep it going? I have another physical location. How do I keep that going? So my clients become my boss. Now, I can choose not to go to work today. I can choose to go to the beach. I can choose to go to a carnival. I can choose to go away anytime I want. But then there's also, will my clients understand, or will my clients be there when I come back? So we have to set all these things into a certain vacuum, if you will, right? So that you can pull in or pull out anytime you want. But we still have to answer to somebody, right?
Of course. I mean, you work eventually. I mean, even if I work now as a coach, eventually someone pays me for my time, and they are my clients, and I need to keep them happy. But I can fire my clients.
Yes, you can.
So if and I don't say that in a negative way. If there is, and it happened to me several times that I started coaching someone and I felt like there's not a match, either personality wise, or I don't feel like I can help them, or they're expecting something of me that I'm not the best person. So I just tell them, no, that's not, I don't think that's the best use of our time. But as an employee, you cannot do that. And I've been in situations when I had to either manage people that I didn't like or work for people I didn't like as managers or peers. And I had to do it for a long time. And it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
So you chose to help a specific group of people.
Yeah.
Why so? Why not just a generalist? Why not go with everybody? But you niche down
Hmm.
and you went with specific group of people. Tell us who they are and tell us why you made that choice.
Yeah. So I help women in tech, more specifically, women in tech
Mm,
leadership roles, engineering, product, but areas that I feel like I bring the best value.
mm,
For example, I just had a coaching call today with an engineering leader she needs to hire, and she had certain doubts about her hiring process. So it's not that I'm telling her how to hire,
right.
but because I have so much experience, I can tell I can tell her, listen, you're doing everything okay. Don't doubt yourself. I can actually speak from experience.
Mm,
And I feel that first of all, I bring all my experience with me.
mhm,
Instead of saying, okay, let me coach people with I don't know, with health issues.
mm,
Can coach them, but I don't bring a specific, other than being a coach and asking questions and all that, which I can.
right.
I feel like, okay, it's combining also all the background that I have. The other thing is passion. So I want to
Mm,
see more women in leadership roles in tech,
mm,
up to the C-suite.
right.
And that's my role here, right? To make a mark,
Mm,
to leave a legacy, to do something that I feel is making some kind of impact.
mm. So are you finding a lot of the women that you are helping were in the same situation you found yourself in?
In similar situation, I don't know if same. I mean, every
Right.
person
Similar,
has
of
their own
course.
journey, but a lot of commonalities, doubting themselves, asking, am I doing this right?
Mm,
Am I good enough?
mhm,
Uh, how do I push back without being aggressive? A lot of similar things.
mm. What's one of the funniest things you've ever come across working in the tech field?
Funniest?
Yeah, because we have to enjoy life, right? And there's things that happen and you go, "Oh my gosh, I cannot believe this happened." And maybe during the situation, it's a serious situation, but later on you can go, now that I think of it, that was pretty funny. Do you have any that come up?
Nothing comes up to mind.
Nothing
I mean,
comes up.
there were a lot of things that I thought were uh, insane, but
Right.
uh, nothing that comes up as funny.
Mm.
Maybe more, sad or something like that. But
Oh.
I do look back at a lot of things that happened to me, and back then maybe seemed like the end of the world, and now seems like part of growth.
Mm.
So I felt a lot of times being used and not supported and all that, and I learned a lot from that, and it helped me grow. I don't. I cannot think of anything that I would see. Sorry to
You said
disappoint
crazy.
you.
Sometimes crazy is funny, isn't it?
Sometimes,
Mhm. Okay, so you
sometimes
didn't find
crazy is
anything
funny.
funny. How about now? Where do you find joy in what you do? I know that you said you want to leave a legacy. You want to find joy in helping other people.
Hmm.
But where does the fun come in? Where do you find that inspiration to continue to do what you're doing? Or are you saying, I'm going to do this for another 10 years and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to retire. I'm going to travel the world or whatnot.
First of all, I don't know how long am I gonna do it, right? I mean,
Okay.
everything that you do eventually you may feel like you need a change. So
Right.
I don't know. I don't
Mhm.
have like an expiration date right now.
There
But
you go.
what gives me joy is either feeling that, okay, I was able to make an impact on someone, or listen, or hearing it from someone,
Mm, right.
and being able to solve someone's problem, being able to help someone get to a different a different situation, a different perspective, more confident, gives me a lot of joy.
What's one of the advice that you would give a woman in tech today if they maybe they love coding, they love the technology or the engineering aspects of it? What's one of the advice that you would give them in order for them to find fulfillment in what they're doing?
So first of all, do what they love. I mean,
Yeah, they're doing
uh,
it already.
so if they love what they're doing, I mean, depends what they need. I mean, if they need support, I would advise them to find someone to help them.
Mm,
I wish I had mentors throughout my career that could help me, because so many times I felt inconfident. I felt, oh, maybe I'm not a good developer. Maybe I'm not as good as someone else. And I felt uncomfortable asking questions, so I will not be seen stupid.
mm,
But if I had like technical mentors, some people that I feel comfortable going and asking any questions I have without feeling stupid,
mm.
that have been really, really helpful for me. So yeah, find the mentors that can help you, people that you
Yeah.
feel comfortable with, that can help you get better.
Mm, yeah. One of the things that I'm very curious about is the amount of women who are in tech now compared to when you started.
Hmm.
How would you say, and if you even know, what what is it like? What's the difference? Because I can already tell you, I know there's a lot of women in tech, right? Because I have friends who are in tech. But I'm
Hmm.
just curious, what was it like 20, 30 years ago when it was just really coming up and it was more of a man's place?
I don't know the statistics,
Right.
so but I
What did you see yourself?
since I started, there are not many women, even in university, right? I mean,
Mhm,
majority were men, and when I started working, also majority were men. A lot of times I was the only woman in the team,
mm,
was managing only men. I mean, it was kind of the norm. To say that there are more women, maybe, depending on which roles, right? I mean, if you talk
mm,
about software development specifically, I'm not sure that there are significantly more women now. And also, it depends which skill set.
mm,
So even if you look at software engineers, yes, some women tend to go to more front-end development. But
right,
when I was looking for back-end developers, for developers with knowledge of complex systems, it was almost impossible to find women.
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So I feel like still the situation is far from being ideal. And yes, maybe it looks like there are more women, and maybe they are, but it depends where. I mean, because if there are more women in other roles that are not technical,
mhm,
that's not really the change I wish to
right.
have.
So what change, if you can make a change, if you had a magic wand and you could do a Harry Potter or something like that, and you can just go like this, what changes would you like to see for women in tech?
I would like to see, first of all, more women founders and CEOs and C suite
Mm,
members,
mm,
board members. I mean, I would like to see a much, much better representation of women.
mm.
And I think that will lead eventually to change,
Agreed.
downstream.
Mhm,
So that's what I would like to see. And eventually I would like to see a better, I don't know if 50-50 is the right thing, but to see much more women
mhm.
in every step
Right.
of
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah, that would be a better place, wouldn't it?
I think so.
I agree. I agree. For me, it's if you have everybody in the same room thinking the same thing, there's no creativity. This is why we need to bring people with different thoughts, different ideas, different concepts. And I think, having a woman's ideas and concepts, because no matter what, when we think about, there really is no equality. You and I were different Me and my sister are different. Me and my brother are different. So two human beings, they're not equal, they're unique, right? So I don't want to say equality, but I want to talk about uniqueness, because each person is unique to whom they are, whether it's a male or female. This is why I believe that we should have a more unity when it comes to all aspects of work environment, of life, of just being. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I was managing teams, I wanted to have as diverse team as I could. And it's not just gender diversity, it's people from different backgrounds.
Yes. Yes.
And one of the things, for example, I didn't like, so a lot of companies hire referrals, which is not a bad thing. But the bad thing that happens if you have a group of people, all of them came from the same place, and they are all working together. So it kind of creates
a clique.
And also those people think alike.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's the best thing. It's
Agreed.
better to have people. So a lot of times we don't like misalignments, disagreements, arguments, conflicts. But sometimes it's a good thing. It's a good thing that there are conflict and that there are heated discussions, because it means that there are different opinions, not just one.
Yeah. And when you have different opinions, sometimes you come to a better resolution too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I appreciate you taking out the time, to be with me today and share your knowledge and your wisdom about helping women in tech and helping them not only advance, but you're helping them with their careers, with their choices. Are you also helping them find better opportunities? I'm not saying that you're a matchmaker for a job, but are you coaching them in how they can use their skills and maybe even their communication skills to elevate themselves?
I mean, I do coach them a lot of times to figure out their career
Choices.
vision. I mean, what they want in their career. A lot of times it's not something immediate, but to try to understand, okay, where do I want to go next? Or where do I see myself in a few years? And what kind of skills do I need to develop in order to get there? And sometimes, women can reach out to me in something more tactical, as I want to find a job, or I want to change maybe what I'm doing and make a career change, or small to big. It can be something not that huge, can be something bigger, and help them kind of identify what are they good at, what are their strengths, what kind of experiences they have, and how they can utilize it elsewhere.
Nice, nice. So what's one of the things that everybody should start to do when they want to step out of that role, whatever role they have, and go into coaching? What's one tip that you would give someone?
Go into coaching?
Yes.
Ask themselves, first of all, why? Why do they want that?
Yeah.
And what is the motivation? And experiment. Experimenting is always good. Try before you buy, right? I mean,
exactly.
Try to help others. It could be your peers, it could be people in your family. Try to talk with some people and see if you like it or not.
Yeah. So you almost want to like buy before you drive, right? If you're going to buy a car, you want to drive it first, or you want to buy it and not drive it and then go, wait a minute, I don't like the way it feels, right? So it's always important to take a test drive, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I mean, usually, I mean, people don't just wake up and say, I want to become a coach.
Right.
Usually something leads to that. And
It
I think
evolves, right?
kind of asking yourself, why do you want to do that? What is important for you? Why is this important for you? And for me, again, it was evolving. It was after years of mentoring and my passion for women and being part of ERGs and supporting women and trying to make an impact at companies I work for and hire more women. So it all kind of connected together. But it was a process. It was a multi-year process. It's not that I woke up one day and said, I want to be a coach.
Right.
And usually it doesn't happen that way. So for each person, it can be different. But try to ask yourself, why you want to do that? Who can I help? I really believe in niche. So you said I have a niche. I believe in niche.
Right.
Because eventually I can help everyone, but I don't want to help everyone.
No,
I want to help those I can help the most. And those that by helping them, I feel I'm fulfilling a mission on this planet. And I'm doing something impactful.
Yeah, that's
because
huge.
We are all driven by making an impact eventually. It's not just by money.
Yeah, and that's a perfect way of ending this episode by you telling everybody to find your niche, find what you're passionate about, right? And pursue it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you said is help someone. That means volunteer, right? With your expertise. And when somebody starts to say, hey, I want more of what you have, then you can start thinking, maybe I can become a coach, right?
Absolutely.
Limor, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate this time that we had together.
Thank you so much.
And once again, let's stay connected. And I know any ladies who are listening, and if you're in tech and you want to go higher in business or even get some really good in-depth, you got to reach out to my new friend Limor, and she'll guide you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. All right. Thank you again. Have an amazing rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.